A lot of people are dealing with
I always wondered why
depression
everyone is so
and/or
afraid to
anxiety.
speak
I
their own
always
mind.
wondered why gay marriage
We live in
would be
such a
legalized.
controlled
I
society.
always wondered why
Everyone's
single
scared to
girls
be
I always
themselves.
wondered why we abuse the power of social media.
I always wonder why kids who lived in disadvantaged or remote communities don't receive the same opportunities in the arts that we do.
I always wondered why people in third world countries still don't have access to clean water to drink.
So we've always wondered why people in third world countries have to walk for kilometres and kilometres to get clean water when all we have to do is turn on one of the many taps in our house.
I've always wondered why people without the ability to have children must pay thousands of dollars to fulfill their purpose or right as a human being.
Always wondered why Indigenous people are always removed into the lowest education stigma possible.
So I always wondered why the Australian government provides such great schooling for those in Australia through the state school system, whereas in other third world countries there was absolutely no education system.
I always wondered why people rely on leaders to inspire them and not just rely on their own abilities.
I always wondered why Australia isn't taking action and using renewable energy resources and not recognising that fossil fuels in the near future will run out.
I've always wondered why people label actions, things and places using such derogatory terms such as gay or homosexual.
I always wondered why people have to come out of the closet, why it is assumed that everyone is heterosexual and cisgender.
I've always wondered why casual sexism is a thing.
Then I realised
Then I realised people don't actually know what they mean.
Then we realised everyone can do something about this.
Then I realised people are ignorant and silent to those who are less fortunate because they see it as a privilege rather than a right.
Once you're put in a stigma, you generally lose aspiration for yourself.
People always believe that the impossible happens to somebody else, somewhere else.
Then I realised that coal is our biggest export item and this needs to change.
Then I realised that as a society, being straight and the gender that we were born with is assumed to be the normal.
It's because people don't know or aren't educated enough to know exactly what sexism is and what classifies as sexism.
Then I realised that this is a topic which many people are not aware of.
It's because there's too big of a gap between here and there.
It shouldn't be where you live, who your parents are, how much they make. It should be about how passionate you are.
To eradicate this, I'll get started by starting campaigns and educational programs to eradicate these despicable words from our society.
So I want to get started by personally removing myself from that stigma and being different from others and finishing school, being what I want and not letting what others think of me and my heritage stop me.
Because this knowledge can help people learn more about how to accept themselves and accept others, and it'll just make a much more welcoming and positive society.
So I'll get started by getting involved, speaking to my local Member of Parliament and trying to advocate for change.
So I'll get started by giving people the opportunity to show their uniqueness, because we're all different and we can all offer something else.
So I'll get started by filling that silence and speaking up about IVF and alternative solutions about having children.
So I'll get started by raising well-needed awareness and funds in my community for their communities.